Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. So I thought today I would film the newbie book tag. I had mentioned in a previous video, that I wanted to tell you a little bit about myself, and I realized I didn't really do very much of that. So I thought this would be a good introduction, and everybody does the newbie tag. I know there are different variations of it, but I just found one and wrote down all the questions. I got those here. So the first question is, why did you start this channel? And I started it just because I'm such a big reader. I've always loved reading, and when I talk about books with like my friends and my family, I have a lot of opinions, and I love reading. I tell them all that, no, this book came first and all the orders, and they laugh at me sometimes, and I'm like, stop reading out of order. But, I'll tell them all the little, this character did this because of, and so I have lots of opinions, and just discovered, I'm like, I work at a bookstore, I read a lot, I love talking about books, and so Booktube just seemed like, starting a YouTube channel was the next thing and kind of the obvious thing. So that's why I started this channel. The second question is, what are some fun and unique things you can bring to Booktube? I feel like just my personality, I feel like everybody has a different personality, and everybody's channel is unique and fun. So hopefully I can create a fun channel that you guys enjoy. But I also think there are several books and authors that I really enjoy that I don't see very often, and so I wanted to, give them some, some honorable mentions, and introduce them to some of you that may not be familiar with them. And I work at a bookstore, so maybe that's something that's a little bit unique. Maybe I can bring some knowledge. I've thought about maybe I'll take, a channel or make a video and bring you guys along to where I work and show you the bookstore I work at a little bit. But anyway, that'll maybe be another video. So the third question is, what are you most excited about for this new channel? And I think I'm just excited to interact with you guys. Like I said, I love talking about books, and so I think it's really exciting to be able to have a community of people that also love talking about books and love discussing them and their favorite characters and their experiences reading, and I think that's so much fun and something that I enjoy. And so I think commenting back and forth with people is always really exciting, and just having that communication. So I think that's something that I'm excited for. The fourth question is, why do you love reading? Reading is just something that I've always done. Growing up, my mom was really great and had tons of children's books and picture books and things, and I have 5 sisters and 3 older than I am, and so I feel like had a lot of their hand-me-down books, I guess, or books that my mom had gotten for them, and so I had a pretty large assortment of children's books to read, and so I think that started me off. And quick side story, when I was in 1st grade, I had a great teacher, but she was a new teacher, and we were doing a lot of like reading and writing, but I didn't know how to read or write, and I, as 6 and 7-year-old, I was very conscientious of that and really uncomfortable. And so my mom brought me home and homeschooled me, taught me to read, and reading has just been one of my favorite things ever since. Yeah, so I feel like, I just kind of transitioned from picture books to chapter books. There was a gap in there where I was really into movies, and I still am, but yeah, I'll explain that. It relates to another question. So, well, the next question, question number 5 is, what book or series got you into reading? So as I was transitioning from, like picture books and started reading chapter books, there were a couple that I had read for school, but I think, I'm just in that age where it was more exciting to watch a story rather than read it, and I didn't realize how exciting, reading an actual book could be. So when I was in 6th grade, I had to read a book for a book report, and a friend recommended this book to me. Where did I put it? Oh, I had grabbed this going back. This was one of the books I read as a child, Corduroy. I really love this, and I actually had to read this for a class in college last semester. So I got my own copy just because I loved this as a child. It's a really cute story. Anyway, so the book that my friend recommended to me was Ella Enchanted. I'm a girl. I love fairy tales and, Cinderella. Who doesn't love Cinderella? But she told me this was really good, and I was like, okay, I guess if I have to read a book, sure. And so I had started reading it, and I don't know how far in it is that it mentions, ogres. But when I got to the part where it started talking about ogres, I was like, oh, ogres. I don't want to read about it. I was like, that sounds boring. Who cares about ogres? And I think I just really wanted a romance. I was all for Ella and Char. But I was like, oh, this is gonna get boring, and it's gonna go into all this. She has to go off to school, and I wasn't too excited. But actually, cute story. I'll tell you another quick story. So I waited because of the ogres. I was just like, oh, I don't really care. And so I put it off to the very last minute, and then I was like, there's no time to read this. I think I had to have it finished the next day. Well, it was the day before I had to have this finished, and it was probably about 8 o'clock, maybe 9 o'clock, and I came out, and I was just like, sat on the couch, and my dad was out in our living room, and he goes, what's wrong? Hearing me sigh, and I was all like, depressed, like I didn't do my homework. But he was like, oh, we can do that, no problem. He was like, go get your book. And I was like, Dad, it's like 9 o'clock and I have to get up for school tomorrow. And he was like, we can get it done. And I was like, a couple 100 pages? Yeah, right. But my sweet dad. So I went into my room and got the book and brought it out. And he sat down and read the entire book with me that night. And we probably finished about 11 o'clock. He read most of it. I read a little bit, but he read most of it to me while I, sat on the floor and listened. And I fell in love by the end of this book. I was in tears, and I was like, that was so beautiful. Anyway, it was a really great experience, one that I've remembered for a long time, and is really, really close to my heart. So this was the book that got me, into reading. And then I just wanted to devour everything like this. I was like, what's another book just like this? And I was just, then I was gone. And my dad made another recommendation. And then I was just, living at the library looking for anything that looked interesting to me. So another book that I just wanted to share with you guys that I had picked up was Ranger's Apprentice. I picked this up probably when I was about 15 or 16. And this is a really fascinating story. There's several in this series. In fact, they're all behind me. So there's 2, and then there's 10 books, and this is kind of like a short story. There's several short stories. And then book 12 is actually kind of starting you into a new generation of the series. But these books as well are all by the same author and in the same world. So there's several books, but I'm still reading it right now. About a young boy who becomes a ranger's apprentice. Medieval story, fantasy. It's fabulous. So I would really recommend this. Anyway, okay. So continuing on, several stories. Question 6. When did you start reading? Well, I guess I kind of already covered that. I've been reading since I was young. You know, little books, picture books and children's books, but Ella Enchanted was probably really my first, like, when I really started reading. So I was probably about 12 when I started reading, 11, 12 in the 6th grade. Question 7, where do you read? I read anywhere. I like to read, you know, like, I mean, I'll sit on my bed and read, or on the couch, but I like to read, like, you know, near a window or somewhere where there's light filtering and that I can enjoy, you know, views of outside. But, you know, I'll read at the kitchen table as long as the book is, you know, far enough away from me that I'm not going to get food on it. But, you know, I've got books on my Kindle so that I can have something with me on the go. Yeah, I read anywhere really. And then the last question is question 8. What kind of books do you like to read? Well, I like to read a lot of books. I love romance. I'm big into romance, but I also really love fantasy. I don't know if I've had a whole lot of sci-fi, but, you know, introduction into sci-fi, but you know, I'd be willing to try. I think I have maybe one or a couple books that are sci-fi. Young adult, historical, I don't know, Lord of the Rings. I've read some manga, or is it anime? One of them. I think manga is the book and anime is when it's in like a TV format. But yeah, I've read, one of my sisters is big into anime and manga, and so she has a couple, and she's been like, Morgan, you have to read this. So, you know, I've read a couple of her series that she has, but some graphic novels. I've got some Marvel comics, so I have a wide range. But I guess if I would have to say a couple of the main, like, authors or series that I really love. Again, I think it's behind me. I have a couple of her books on my TBR this month, but I'll pull out one of them. Is Sarah Eden. So this is one of her first books, Seeking Persephone, and this author, Sarah Eden, she loves research. You know, all things historical. It's pretty funny to listen to her sometimes, and but it's really fascinating too, some of the details that she knows. So she, you know, knows a lot about English history and you know, Ireland, and anyway, she just loves researching. But she writes a lot of Regency romance, and so this is part of the Lancaster series. She's got a John Quill series. She's got a Victorian Dread Penny Society series, which is really fun. She has a couple Western series. One of them is called Sheriffs of Savage Wells, and another is Longing for Home, which I have a novella that I'm reading this month, Choices of the Heart, which I discussed as kind of a Western Irish tale. But she's one of my favorites. She's just got a really great sense of humor. Her romance is fantastic, and the story and her characters they're wonderful. They have so much character and depth, and anyway, I really enjoy her books. Another one I would say that's my favorite. Oh gosh. Okay. How about this one? I don't know. We'll see. Is Tracy Hunter Abramson. She has, again, several books. These are all her books right here off to the side. Over to here. And this one. And there's a couple on my TBR. But she used to work for the CIA. And so she's got some good, you know, experience and knowledge kind of about how the CIA works and some, you know, government matters, I guess. But so she writes really fascinating suspense, but she has a really awesome romantic element in her books as well. Yeah, I don't know, she's a fun one. So I love reading her, but I don't know, there's several. Like, I could talk for hours about this, but I won't. I'll wrap up. I do apologize for my lack of videos this week. I've had some difficulties with my camera, and so I'm lucky to get this filmed. I am going on vacation. I'm just leaving with two sisters that I live with to go visit another sister in Washington. We're going to Comic-Con, so I'll try and get some filming done and maybe have a little bit of some clips that I can show you guys when I come back. But yeah, that's kind of what's been going on, and I'll try to be a little bit more consistent with future video uploads. But thanks for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye.